When Dr. Lyra Blackstone discovers she's been unknowingly mated to ruthless Alpha King Alexis Volkov through an arranged contract, she runs. But you can't hide from a man who owns half the world and considers her his most precious possession. Now Alexis will stop at nothing to bring back the woman who belongs to him, even if it means tearing apart everything she's built to keep her safe. Subscribe now to witness an obsession that knows no boundaries. Dr. Lyra Blackstone stares at the legal documents spread across her deceased father's desk, her hands trembling as the implications of what she's reading sink in. The marriage contract, signed when she was barely 18 and away at medical school, binds her to a man she's never met, Alexis Volkov, the most feared Alpha King in Eastern Europe. This can't be legal, she whispers to her father's longtime attorney, Mr. Henderson, who shifts uncomfortably in his chair. I'm afraid it is. Dr. Blackstone, your father was in significant debt to Mr. Volkov. The marriage contract was the only way to prevent your family from losing everything, including your medical school funding. Henderson's voice carries decades of legal experience and genuine regret. The contract becomes active upon your father's death, which occurred 3 days ago. Lyra's mind races as she processes this betrayal. Her father, whom she'd trusted implicitly, had essentially sold her to pay his gambling debts. While she was working 18-hour days to become a surgeon, believing she was building her own future, her destiny was already decided by men who saw her as a commodity. What exactly does the contract stipulate? She asks, though she dreads the answer. Henderson clears his throat nervously. Complete submission to Mr. Volkov as his mate and Luna. You're to relocate to his territory within 30 days. Surrender your medical practice and fulfill all duties of an Alpha's wife as outlined in traditional pack law. Traditional pack law? Lyra's voice rises with indignation. I'm human, Mr. Henderson. I don't even know werewolves exist until 3 minutes ago. Your father assured Mr. Volkov that you carried dormant werewolf genes through your maternal grandmother's bloodline, Henderson explains apologetically. The contract includes provisions for awakening those abilities through the mating bond. Lyra stands abruptly, pacing to the window that overlooks the small town where she's built her life as the local hospital's head surgeon. Everything she sees, her practice, her patience, her carefully constructed independence, is about to be ripped away by a contract signed without her knowledge or consent. And if I refuse? She asks, though her tone suggests she's already considering that option. Mr. Volkov owns the debt your father left behind, approximately $2.3 million including interest. Refusal to honor the marriage contract means immediate payment in full, plus penalties that would easily bankrupt you. Henderson's expression grows grave. But Dr. Blackstone, I must warn you, Alexis Volkov isn't someone you want as an enemy. His reputation for dealing with those who cross him is unpleasant. Lyra's phone buzzes with an incoming text from an unknown international number. Condolences on your loss. Looking forward to meeting my bride. Car will arrive tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pack light. Everything you need will be provided. AV. The presumption in the message makes Lyra's blood boil. This man, this Alpha King, assumes she'll simply comply with an arrangement made without her consent, abandon her career and independence to become his possession. I need copies of everything, she tells Henderson firmly. Every document, every clause, every legal loophole. Dr. Blackstone, if you're considering fighting this in court, I'm considering my options, Lyra interrupts. And right now, those options don't include meekly surrendering my life to a man who thinks he can buy himself a wife. Henderson gathers the papers with obvious reluctance. Please be careful, Dr. Blackstone. Alexis Volkov has resources and connections that extend far beyond normal legal channels. If you run, who said anything about running? Lyra's smile doesn't reach her eyes. I'm a surgeon, Mr. Henderson. I've spent years learning how to cut precisely, remove problems cleanly, and heal what's been damaged. Consider this just another operation. But as she drives home through streets that suddenly feel like a trap closing around her, Lyra's bravado wavers. Tomorrow, a car will arrive to collect her like a package. Tomorrow, her life as she knows it ends, unless she finds a way to escape the contract that binds her to a monster. She has less than 18 hours to disappear completely. The hunt is about to begin. Lyra works through the night with surgical precision, liquidating assets, transferring funds to accounts Henderson can't trace, and creating a new identity that will let her vanish completely. By 6 a.m., Dr. Lyra Blackstone has effectively died on paper, leaving behind only Anna Collins, a traveling nurse with fabricated credentials and enough cash to disappear for years. She's packed a single suitcase when the black sedans arrive at 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. Through her bedroom window, Lyra watches 3 vehicles with tinted windows park outside her house. Men in expensive suits emerge, moving with the predatory grace that screams supernatural even to her untrained eyes. Dr. Blackstone. The knock on her front door is polite but insistent. "Mr. Volkov sent us to escort you home." Home. The word makes Lyra's stomach clench. These men speak of her going to meet a stranger as if it's a homecoming, rather than an abduction dressed in legal paperwork. Lyra slips out her back door and through the neighbor's yard, keeping low as she makes her way to the stolen motorcycle she's hidden 3 blocks away. Her heart pounds as she hears raised voices from her house. They've discovered her absence. The motorcycle roars to life, and Lyra speeds toward the highway, knowing she has maybe a 10-minute head start before they realize she's truly gone. In the rearview mirror, she sees 2 of the sedans peeling out of her neighborhood in pursuit. The chase that follows tests every defensive driving skill she's never officially learned. Lyra weaves through traffic, takes dangerous shortcuts, and pushes the motorcycle to its limits while her pursuers try to box her in without causing a scene that would attract human law enforcement attention. She makes it to the bus station with minutes to spare, abandoning the motorcycle and blending into the crowd of travelers. As her bus pulls away, Lyra catches sight of the same men scanning the terminal with professional efficiency. "Close," she breathes, settling into her seat as the city disappears behind them. For 3 months, Lyra lives as Anna Collins, working at small rural hospitals under the radar while constantly looking over her shoulder. She's good at staying invisible until the night she makes a mistake that costs her everything. Working a late shift at a clinic in Montana, Lyra encounters a car accident victim whose injuries are too severe for the small facility to handle. Without thinking, she performs emergency surgery using techniques that only someone with her specific training would know. The patient lives, but the procedure is distinctive enough to serve as a signature. "Dr. Lyra Blackstone, I presume." The voice comes from behind her as she finishes closing the patient's incisions. Rich, accented, carrying an authority that makes her freeze in place. Lyra turns slowly to face the man who's been hunting her for 3 months. Alexis Volkov is not what she expected. Where she anticipated a brutish monster, she finds devastating masculine beauty. Tall and powerful, with platinum blonde hair and eyes like Arctic ice, he radiates danger and control in equal measure. "Mr. Volkov," she acknowledges, not bothering to maintain her false identity. "You led me quite a chase." "Little wolf," he says, moving closer with predatory patience. 3 months, 14 states, countless false identities. Impressive for someone with no training in evasion. "I'm a fast learner," Lyra replies, her hands still steady despite her racing pulse. "Yes, you are. Which is why you belong with me, rather than hiding in small towns, pretending to be someone else." Alexis reaches out to touch her face, and Lyra jerks back instinctively. "I don't belong to anyone," she snaps. "Don't you?" Alexis produces the marriage contract from his jacket pocket. "Your signature, your father's agreement, legally binding in both human and supernatural courts. You are mine, Lyra. You always have been. That contract was signed without my knowledge or consent, but it was signed. And now it's time to come home. Alexis's voice carries finality that makes Lyra's wolf, a part of herself she's only recently become aware of, whimper with reluctant recognition. Outside, she can see black SUVs surrounding the clinic. There's no escape this time, no motorcycle or convenient crowd to disappear into. I won't make this easy for you, Lyra warns. Alexis smiles, and it's both beautiful and terrifying. Good. I prefer my conquest to have spirit. Alexis's private jet is a study in masculine luxury. Leather seats, mahogany accents, and technology that probably costs more than most people's homes. Lyra sits across from him in furious silence, her wrists bound with what appears to be decorative silver that burns against her newly awakened werewolf sensitivity. Silver-lined silk, Alexis explains when he notices her wincing, prevents shifting while maintaining the appearance of elegant restraints. I wouldn't want you to hurt yourself trying to jump from a plane at 30,000 feet. You think of everything. Lyra replies coldly, I think of you. His correction carries an undertone that makes her skin prickle with unwanted awareness. Your safety, your comfort, your adjustment to your new life. My new prison, you mean. Alexis leans forward, his ice-blue eyes intense. Tell me, Dr. Blackstone, in your 3 months of running, how many lives did you save working in those small clinics? The question catches her off guard. I don't see how that's relevant. Humor me. Lyra considers refusing to answer, then decides honesty might provide insight into her captor's motivations. 17 people who would have died without immediate surgical intervention. Impressive. And how many more could you save with unlimited resources? The best equipment, research funding, a medical facility that could rival any in the world? Alexis sits back, studying her reaction. I'm not stealing your calling, Lyra. I'm offering to enhance it beyond anything you could achieve alone, in exchange for my freedom, in exchange for your partnership. His voice drops to an intimate rumble. You see this as imprisonment because you don't understand what I'm offering. You'll be Luna to the most powerful pack in the world, with resources that could revolutionize supernatural medicine. Despite herself, Lyra feels a flicker of interest. The limitations she's faced in her medical career, funding, equipment, research restrictions, could all disappear with access to Alexis's wealth and connections. And if I refuse to be your Luna, she asks, then you'll remain my wife in name only, free to pursue your medical career under my protection while fulfilling the minimum obligations of our contract. Alexis's expression grows serious. But you'll never be truly free, Lyra. The contract binds us until one of us dies. The plane begins its descent toward what Alexis informs her is his private island off the coast of Romania. Through the window, Lyra sees a medieval castle that's been updated with modern amenities, surrounded by pristine wilderness that stretches to the horizon. Welcome to Shadowmere, Alexis says as they disembark. Your new home. The castle is breathtaking, ancient stone walls, housing rooms that blend historical grandeur with contemporary luxury. Lyra's suite occupies an entire tower, with panoramic views and furnishings that probably cost more than her annual salary. The door isn't locked, Alexis informs her as he shows her the accommodations. You're free to explore the island, meet the pack members, establish yourself however you see fit, but not free to leave. Lyra observes. The island is surrounded by miles of open ocean. Even if you could somehow reach the mainland, you'd find that Alexis Volkov's wife is a high-priority target for my enemies. Your safety requires staying close to my protection. Lyra moves to the window, looking out at waters that might as well be an ocean of silver chains. So I'm trapped here, dependent on you for everything, expected to be grateful for luxurious captivity. You're here because you belong here. Alexis moves to stand behind her, close enough that she can feel his body heat. The contract may have brought you to me, but destiny will make you stay. I don't believe in destiny. You will. His voice carries absolute certainty. Give it time, little wolf. Give us time. As night falls over Shadowmere Island, Lyra stands at her window and plots escape. Routes she knows are impossible while fighting the growing attraction to a man who owns her. Freedom, but might just offer her everything she never knew she wanted. The real cage, she's beginning to realize, isn't the island. It's the way her heart races every time Alexis looks at her, like she's the answer to a prayer he's been waiting centuries to have answered. Lyra's first week on Shadowmere Island reveals the complexity of Alexis's domain. What she initially assumed was a simple case of supernatural. Kidnapping proves to be something far more intricate. She's been brought into a functioning society of werewolves who regard her with mixtures of curiosity, respect, and barely concealed hostility. The Luna must prove herself, explains Dr. Katerina Volkov, Alexis's cousin and the pack's previous medical authority. Many question whether a reluctant human can truly lead werewolves. They're touring the island's medical facility, which puts most major hospitals to shame. State-of-the-art equipment, research labs, even a surgical suite designed specifically for werewolf physiology. Despite her resentment at being trapped here, Lyra can't hide her professional admiration. This is incredible, she admits, running her fingers along a diagnostic machine she's only read about in medical journals. How did you acquire all this? Alexis spares no expense for pack welfare, Katerina replies, her tone suggesting pride in her alpha's priorities. But equipment means nothing without proper leadership. The pack needs a Luna who understands their unique medical needs, and you don't think I'm capable? Lyra asks directly. I think you're hiding here, playing victim instead of embracing the opportunity you've been given. Katerina's bluntness is refreshing after days of careful political courtesy from other pack members. My cousin could have chosen any female in the supernatural world. He chose you. The question is whether you're strong enough to deserve that choice. The challenge in Katerina's voice stings, partly because Lyra suspects she's right. For all her resentment about the arranged marriage, she's been passive since arriving, focusing on her captivity rather than the possibilities surrounding her. What would proving myself involve? Lyra asks, start with the medical center. We have patients you could help, research projects that need expertise beyond veterinary care adapted for werewolves. Katerina hands her a tablet loaded with case files. Show the pack you're here to contribute, not just complain. That afternoon, Lyra throws herself into medical work with an enthusiasm she hasn't felt since her escape attempts. The cases are fascinating. Werewolf healing presents unique challenges and opportunities that push her skills in new directions. By evening, she's so absorbed in a complex surgical planning session that she doesn't notice Alexis entering the medical center until he speaks. Finding everything you need? He asks, his voice carrying satisfaction as he observes her obvious engagement. The resources here are extraordinary, Lyra admits, not looking up from the patient charts. This research into accelerated healing could revolutionize trauma surgery for humans and werewolves alike. I'm glad you approve. Alexis moves to stand beside her, close enough that his scent, pine and snow and something uniquely masculine, fills her senses. Katerina mentioned you've accepted several complex cases. Someone needs to help these patients. Their previous treatment options were limited because they didn't have a Luna with your expertise, Alexis says quietly. This is what I meant about partnership, Lyra. Your skills, enhanced by unlimited resources and supernatural healing factors, could save lives on a scale you never imagined, despite her determination to remain aloof. Lyra feels herself responding to his vision. The work here isn't just challenging, it's meaningful in ways her previous practice never was. Why me? She asks suddenly. You could have found a willing supernatural female with medical training. Why go through elaborate contracts and kidnapping to secure someone who resents being here? Alexis is quiet for so long that Lyra finally looks up from her charts to find him watching her with an expression she can't quite interpret. Because, he says finally, I didn't want a willing participant seeking political advancement or pack status. I wanted someone whose calling to heal others supersedes their personal comfort. Someone who would fight for their patients, even if it meant challenging me. You wanted someone who wouldn't be intimidated by you, Lyra realizes. I wanted someone who would be my equal, not my subordinate. Alexis's voice drops to an intimate register that makes her pulse quicken. The question now is whether you're ready to be that person. Looking around the medical facility where she could literally change the supernatural world through her work, Lyra begins to wonder if maybe, just maybe, being dragged back might have been the best thing that ever happened to her. 3 weeks into her residency at Shadowmere, Lyra faces her first major crisis when a territorial dispute results in multiple casualties arriving at the medical center. Pack members pour through the doors with injuries ranging from deep claw marks to near-fatal blood loss, testing every skill she's developed and some she's improvising on the spot. Luna. Katerina calls out over the chaos. The Alpha's been injured. Priority 1. Lyra's hands freeze for a moment as 2 pack members carry Alexis through the trauma bay doors. He's conscious, but bleeding heavily from what appears to be a silver weapon wound across his chest, the kind of injury that could kill even an Alpha King if not treated immediately. Get him on table 3, Lyra orders, her professional training overriding personal complications. I need silver extraction kits and enhanced healing accelerants. Luna, perhaps I should handle the Alpha's care, Katerina suggests diplomatically. Given your relationship circumstances, he needs the best surgeon available, and that's me, Lyra states firmly, scrubbing in with practiced efficiency. Personal feelings don't matter when someone's life is on the line. The surgery that follows pushes Lyra's skills to their absolute limit. Silver poisoning complicates werewolf healing factors, requiring delicate extraction techniques and precise timing with supernatural medications. For 2 hours, she works to save the life of the man who kidnapped her, her hands steady despite her racing heart. There, she breathes, as Alexis's enhanced healing begins sealing the surgical site. Silver's out. Tissue regeneration is responding normally. He'll be fine. Only then does she realize that the entire pack leadership has been watching her work. Through the observation window, she can see pack members who've been cold and suspicious since her arrival now, looking at her with something approaching awe. She saved his life, someone whispers. The Luna fought for our Alpha even though he took her against her will. Perhaps the contract wasn't as one-sided as we assumed. Lyra ignores the murmurs, focusing on post-operative care until Alexis begins stirring back to consciousness. His ice-blue eyes find hers immediately, holding a gratitude and something deeper that makes her breath catch. Thank you, he says simply. Don't read too much into it, Lyra replies, though her voice lacks conviction. Any decent surgeon would have done the same, would they? Alexis struggles to sit up despite her protests. You could have let me die, Lyra. Freed yourself from the contract, inherited significant assets, gained revenge for your kidnapping. Instead, you spent 2 hours fighting to save my life. The observation hangs between them, loaded with implications neither wants to acknowledge directly. Lyra had multiple opportunities during surgery to ensure Alexis didn't survive, opportunities that would have looked like tragic complications rather than deliberate choices. I'm a doctor, she says finally. I took an oath. You took an oath to first do no harm, Alexis quotes back to her. But saving the life of someone who's harmed you goes beyond professional obligation. That's personal choice. Before Lyra can respond, alarms begin sounding throughout the medical facility. Through the windows, she can see pack members running toward the harbor where smoke rises from what appears to be an explosion. What's happening? She asks. Retaliation for the territorial dispute, Alexis explains grimly, trying to stand despite his recent surgery. My enemies know I'm vulnerable right now. You're not going anywhere, Lyra orders, pushing him back down with surprising strength. You just had major surgery. Moving too soon could rupture the healing tissue. My pack needs their Alpha, your pack needs their Alpha alive and functional. Not bleeding out because he was too stubborn to follow medical orders. Lyra interrupts with authority that surprises them both. For a moment, they stare at each other, The Alpha King accustomed to absolute obedience, and the surgeon who's just claimed medical authority over the most powerful werewolf in the world. Very well. Luna, Alexis concedes with what might be respect. I'll follow your medical judgment, but if the island falls while I'm confined to this bed, the responsibility is yours. Accepted, Lyra replies without hesitation. As explosions continue echoing across the island, she realizes she's just committed to protecting not only Alexis's life, but everything he's built here, including the pack that's beginning to see her as their true Luna. The attack on Shadowmere Island proves more coordinated than anyone anticipated. While Alexis recovers from surgery, enemy werewolves land on 3 sides of the island simultaneously, forcing the pack into defensive positions that stretch their resources dangerously thin. Luna, Marcus Volkov, Alexis's second-in-command, enters the medical facility with blood on his uniform and desperation in his eyes. We need the Alpha. Our defensive lines are failing. The Alpha needs another 6 hours minimum before he can safely shift, Lyra states firmly, not looking up from her patient charts. Moving him now could kill him. Better a dead Alpha than a conquered pack, Marcus argues. Without his presence, the younger wolves are breaking formation. We can't hold much longer. Through the reinforced windows, Lyra can see muzzle flashes and hear the distinctive howls of werewolves in combat. The pack she's begun to care about, despite herself, is fighting for survival, while their leader lies incapacitated by injuries. There has to be another way, she insists, not without... Marcus stops mid-sentence, his expression shifting as he stares at Lyra with sudden calculation. Unless what? You could speak to them, Marcus says slowly. As Luna, your voice carries authority in the Alpha's absence. If you could rally the younger wolves, remind them what they're fighting for. I'm not Luna, Lyra protests. I'm a captive who happens to be married to your Alpha through a contract I never agreed to. You saved his life, Marcus counters. You're defending him now against medical advice that would benefit you politically. The pack has seen your actions, Luna. They're beginning to recognize what Alexis saw when he chose you. Before Lyra can respond, explosions rock the medical facility. Enemy forces have breached the outer defenses and are advancing toward the castle complex. Through her enhanced hearing, a side effect of her growing bond with Alexis, she can hear pack members calling for their Alpha. They need leadership, Alexis says weakly from his bed. Go to them, Lyra. You need medical monitoring. I need my mate to protect our pack. Alexis's eyes blaze with Alpha authority, even in his weakened state. This is what Luna means, standing for the pack when the Alpha cannot. Lyra looks between the two males, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders like a mantle she never asked to wear. Outside, people she's come to care about are dying while she hides behind medical protocols. Fine, she says finally. But I do this my way. What do you mean? Marcus asks. I'm a surgeon, not a warrior, Lyra explains, moving toward the medical supply closet. But I know how to stop bleeding. And right now, this pack is hemorrhaging defenders. She emerges carrying emergency medical supplies and a rifle loaded with tranquilizer darts. Get me to the communication center. If I'm going to speak as Luna, the whole pack needs to hear me. The journey through castle corridors under siege tests every bit of courage Lyra possesses. With Marcus providing cover, she reaches the communications hub, where pack members are coordinating defensive efforts. Listen to me, she broadcasts over the pack communication system, her voice carrying clearly to every werewolf on the island. This is Dr. Lyra Blackstone, your Luna. Your Alpha is recovering from injuries sustained defending your territory. He will return to you, but right now I need you to hold the line. She's not Luna, someone shouts over the radio. She's a human prisoner. I'm the woman who just spent 2 hours saving your Alpha's life, Lyra responds firmly. I'm the surgeon who's treated your wounded, the doctor who's chosen to stay and fight beside you instead of running when I had the chance. If that doesn't make me Luna, then I don't know what does. Silence greets her declaration, broken only by the sounds of distant combat. Now, Lyra continues. Fall back to secondary positions. Protect the wounded and the young. Your alpha will recover, but only if we give him time to heal. One by one, pack members begin acknowledging her orders. The defensive lines stabilize as werewolves respond to leadership they desperately needed. For the first time since arriving on Shadowmere Island, Lyra truly feels like she belongs here. The siege lasts 18 hours, during which Lyra discovers reserves of strength and leadership she never knew she possessed. Moving between wounded pack members and defensive positions, she coordinates medical care while maintaining communication with scattered units, all while keeping Alexis stable enough to heal properly. By dawn, enemy forces have been repelled, but the cost is significant. 7 pack members dead, dozens wounded, and damage to the island's infrastructure that will take months to repair. Lyra works through the aftermath with grim efficiency, triaging injuries and organizing evacuations for the most seriously wounded. Luna, a young pack member named Stefan, approaches her hesitantly. My sister, she's not responding well to the healing accelerants. Lyra follows him to where a teenage girl lies unconscious, her body rejecting the supernatural medications that should be helping her recovery. It's a condition she's read about but never treated. Sometimes young werewolf systems can't handle the intensity of enhanced healing. I need to operate, Lyra decides, reviewing the girl's vital signs. But the surgical suite was damaged in the attack. We'll have to improvise. What follows is the most challenging surgery of Lyra's career, operating with makeshift equipment while enemy forces might return at any moment. Trying to save a patient whose physiology she's still learning to understand. But as she works, something extraordinary happens. Her enhanced senses, dormant since her arrival, suddenly flare to life. She can smell the subtle changes in the girl's blood chemistry, hear the minute variations in her heartbeat, even sense the flow of supernatural energy through her system. The werewolf genes Alexis mentioned are finally awakening, triggered by the life-or-death intensity of the situation. Luna, your eyes, Stefan gasps, staring at her in amazement. Lyra catches her reflection in a surgical instrument and sees that her brown eyes now hold flecks of gold that pulse with each heartbeat. The dormant werewolf heritage is manifesting, enhancing her medical abilities beyond anything she's experienced before. With her new supernatural senses, the surgery becomes almost intuitive. She can feel exactly where the girl's system is rejecting the healing factors, can sense the precise adjustments needed to restore balance. By the time she closes the final incision, Stefan's sister is breathing normally, and her enhanced healing has resumed functioning. Incredible, Dr. Katerina observes from where she's been assisting. I've never seen anyone adapt to supernatural surgery so quickly. It's like you were born for this. Maybe I was, Lyra realizes, looking around at the medical facility where she's just saved her 15th life in 2 days. Maybe everything that brought me here was leading to this moment. When she finally returns to check on Alexis, she finds him sitting up despite medical orders, his ice-blue eyes immediately focusing on her changed appearance. Your wolf is awakening, he says with satisfaction, and something deeper. I can smell the change in your scent, see it in your eyes. Is that what this is? Lyra touches her face self-consciously. I feel different, more aware, more connected to everything around me. The mating bond, Alexis explains, his voice rough with emotion. It's finally activating fully. Your wolf recognizes her mate and her pack. She's ready to claim her place as Luna. As he speaks, Lyra becomes aware of a new sensation, a warm electric connection that seems to link her directly to Alexis's emotional state. Through this bond, she can feel his pride in her actions, his gratitude for her leadership during the crisis, and underneath it all, an overwhelming love that takes her breath away. I can feel what you're feeling, she whispers in amazement. And I can feel yours, Alexis replies, standing carefully to move closer to her. Your confusion, your growing acceptance of what you are, and yes, your attraction to me, even though you're still fighting it. Lyra doesn't deny the accusation because it's impossible to lie through a bond that connects them so intimately. This is what you meant about destiny, isn't it? The supernatural connection that makes choice irrelevant? No, Alexis shakes his head, cupping her face with hands that tremble slightly. The bond enhances what's already there. It doesn't create feelings from nothing. What you're feeling for me, what I've felt for you since the moment I saw you operate under pressure to save lives. That's real, Lyra. That's choice. Looking into his eyes, feeling the sincerity of his emotions through their shared connection. Lyra finally stops running from the truth she's been avoiding since arriving on Shadowmere Island. She's falling in love with her captor, and it might be the most honest thing that's ever happened to her. The weeks following the siege mark a transformation in Lyra that goes far beyond physical changes. With her werewolf abilities fully awakened, she throws herself into her role as Luna with determination that surprises even Alexis. The medical facility becomes her domain, but her influence extends throughout the pack as she establishes herself as a leader worth following. The Luna's clinic has reduced recovery times by 40%. Katerina reports during a pack leadership meeting. She's also implementing preventive care programs that could revolutionize how we approach pack health. Lyra sits beside Alexis at the conference table, no longer the reluctant captive, but an equal partner in pack governance. The change in dynamics doesn't go unnoticed by the assembled alphas and betas. Impressive work, acknowledges Viktor Petrov, alpha of an allied Russian pack. But medical expertise doesn't necessarily translate to pack leadership. How does the Luna handle discipline, territory disputes, the kinds of conflicts that require stronger measures? The challenge in his tone makes several pack members tense, but Lyra meets his gaze steadily. Why don't you ask Stefan Volkov? All eyes turn to the young werewolf who was caught stealing from pack stores the previous week, a crime that traditionally would result in exile or worse. The Luna didn't punish me, Stefan admits reluctantly. She put me to work in the medical facility, made me understand how my theft affected injured pack members who needed those supplies. I learned more in 3 days of helping patients than I would have from any beating. Rehabilitation over retaliation, Lyra explains to Victor. Stronger packs are built by addressing root causes of problems, not just punishing symptoms. Victor's expression shifts from skeptical to thoughtful. And if someone commits crimes that can't be rehabilitated, then they face consequences appropriate to the threat they pose. Lyra's voice hardens with authority that surprises everyone, including herself. But justice should serve the pack's welfare, not just satisfy our need for revenge. After the meeting, Alexis draws her aside with obvious pride. You handled Victor perfectly. He's been questioning your authority since the siege, looking for weaknesses to exploit. I know, Lyra replies. I can sense his emotions through the pack bonds now. He's not malicious, just protective of traditional ways. He needs to see that change doesn't mean weakness, and if he continues to challenge you, then I'll handle it the way a Luna should. Lyra's eyes flash gold with determination. By proving that strength comes in many forms, and the strongest leaders are those who inspire loyalty rather than demand it. That evening, Lyra finds herself in Alexis's private study, reviewing territorial agreements and pack politics with a focus she never imagined possessing. The work is complex but engaging, offering challenges that stretch her analytical mind in new directions. You're enjoying this, Alexis observes, watching her make notes on a particularly intricate alliance proposal. I am, Lyra admits with some surprise. I thought I'd hate the political aspects of being Luna, but there's something satisfying about finding solutions that benefit everyone involved. That's because you're a natural diplomat. Alexis moves to stand behind her chair, his presence both comforting and distracting. You see connections others miss, find compromises that seem impossible until you explain them. Or maybe I'm just stubborn enough to keep working until problems make sense, Lyra suggests. Though she's pleased by his assessment, Alexis's hands settle on her shoulders, and the mate bond hums with shared contentment. Speaking of stubborn, he says carefully, we need to discuss our living arrangements. Lyra tenses slightly. Despite their growing connection, she's maintained her own quarters in the East Tower, visiting Alexis's suite for meetings and meals, but never staying overnight. The physical aspect of their relationship remains unresolved, complicated by the circumstances of their binding. Alexis, I'm not asking you to share my bed, he interrupts gently. I'm asking if you'd consider moving to the Alpha quarters permanently. Separate rooms if you prefer, but the same living space. It would strengthen your position with pack members who still question the legitimacy of our bond. Lyra considers this, weighing personal comfort against pack politics. Through their bond, she can sense Alexis's genuine desire to have her closer, but also his willingness to accept whatever boundaries she sets. All right, she decides. But I want my medical journals, my research materials, space to work on my projects. Done. Anything else? A lock on my bedroom door, Lyra adds, though her tone lacks real conviction. If that's what makes you comfortable, Alexis agrees, though his eyes hold amusement that suggests he doubts she'll use it. The move happens the next day, with pack members helping transfer her belongings to quarters that rival any luxury hotel. Alexis has provided everything she requested, a private study, medical research space, even a small surgical suite for emergency procedures. That night, as Lyra settles into her new bedroom, she realizes the lock remains unused. Through the walls, she can sense Alexis's presence like a warm constant, reassuring rather than threatening. For the first time since arriving on Shadowmere Island, she feels truly at home. The thought should terrify her, falling for the man who kidnapped her, accepting a life she never chose. Instead, lying in silk sheets while rain patters against diamond-paned windows, Lyra feels a peace she's never experienced before. She belongs here, not because a contract says so, but because she's chosen to make this place her own. These people her responsibility, and this impossible Alpha her partner in everything that matters. Tomorrow, she'll face new challenges as Luna of Shadowmere Pack. Tonight, she's simply a woman who's discovered that sometimes being dragged back is exactly what you need to find your way forward. Through the mate bond, she feels Alexis's contentment as he senses her acceptance. And for the first time, Lyra doesn't fight the connection that links them. Instead, she sends him a pulse of affection and gratitude that makes him smile in the darkness of his own room. The escape attempts are over. The real relationship is just beginning. 6 months after her final escape attempt, Lyra stands in the Shadowmere Council chamber, addressing representatives from 12 supernatural territories. What began as her reluctant captivity has evolved into something she never expected, genuine. Partnership with the most powerful Alpha King in the world. The proposed medical exchange program would benefit all our territories, she explains to the assembled leaders. Her confidence natural and commanding. Shared research, cross-training for healers, emergency response protocols that could save thousands of lives during conflicts. The Luna makes compelling arguments, acknowledges Elena Castell, Alpha of the Barcelona Pack. But such cooperation requires unprecedented trust between territories that have been enemies for centuries. Trust has to start somewhere, Lyra replies. Medical need transcends political boundaries. When your pack members are bleeding, their blood doesn't care about territorial disputes. Through the mate bond, she feels Alexis's pride and support, even though he's letting her handle this negotiation independently. Their relationship has evolved into true partnership. He handles military and political matters while she focuses on medical and diplomatic initiatives. But both consult the other on major decisions. I have concerns about security, interjects Boris Kozlov, the Russian Alpha, whose territory borders several hostile factions. Medical exchanges could provide cover for espionage, intelligence gathering, even assassination attempts, which is why the program includes comprehensive security protocols. Lyra produces detailed documentation she spent weeks preparing. Background checks, supervised exchanges, neutral territory meetings. We can share medical knowledge without compromising territorial security. The negotiations continue for hours, with Lyra fielding questions and objections with the skill of someone who's learned to navigate supernatural politics. When the session concludes with tentative approval for a pilot program, she feels exhausted but accomplished. "Well done, Luna," Viktor Petrov approaches her afterward. "6 months ago, I questioned whether a human could truly lead werewolves. Today, you've proven that leadership isn't about species. It's about vision and courage. Thank you, Victor. That means a great deal coming from you." As the representatives depart, Alexis joins Lyra on the council chamber's private balcony overlooking the moonlit ocean. The view that once seemed like prison walls now feels like a kingdom they've built together. "Proud of you," Alexis says simply, pulling her against his side. "Proud of us," Lyra corrects, settling into his embrace. "This wouldn't have worked without your political support and territorial connections. No, this worked because you saw possibilities where others saw only problems. The medical exchange program was your vision, your initiative." Alexis's voice carries deep affection. "I may have brought you here against your will, but everything you've accomplished since then has been your choice." Lyra turns to face him, struck by the truth of his observation. "You're right. I'm not the same person who tried to escape 6 months ago. Who are you now?" Alexis asks, genuinely curious. "I'm Luna of Shadowmere Pack," Lyra replies without hesitation. "I'm a surgeon who's found ways to heal that go beyond individual patients. I'm a diplomat working to prevent the wars that create casualties. She hesitates, then continues with quiet certainty. "I'm your mate, your partner. Your equal." "Yes, you are," Alexis agrees, his ice-blue eyes warm with love that no longer surprises her. "And I'm ready," Lyra adds, her pulse quickening at the implications of what she's about to say. "Ready for what?" "To make this partnership complete in every way." Lyra's voice drops to an intimate whisper. "The separate bedrooms, the careful boundaries, the unfinished claiming. I don't want those barriers anymore, Alexis." His sharp intake of breath tells her he understands exactly what she's offering. Through their bond, she feels his desire spike, tempered by concern for her emotional readiness. "Are you certain?" he asks. "Once we complete the mating bond fully, there's no going back. You'll be mine in ways that transcend legal contracts or political arrangements. I've been yours since the moment I chose to save your life instead of letting you die on my operating table," Lyra admits. "The only thing that's changed is that I'm finally ready to admit it." Alexis lifts her chin, studying her face in the moonlight. "Then come to bed with me, Luna. Let me show you what it means to be truly claimed by an Alpha King." As he leads her toward their shared quarters, Lyra marvels at the journey that brought them here. She tried to escape, but in the end, she found exactly where she belonged. The completion of their mating bond transforms everything between them. What began as political arrangement and evolved through reluctant attraction finally becomes the deep, unshakable connection that Alexis always knew was possible. In the aftermath of their claiming, Lyra lies in his arms, feeling more complete than she ever imagined possible. "No regrets?" Alexis asks, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "Only that it took us so long to get here," Lyra admits, marveling at the intensity of their bond now that all barriers have fallen. Through their connection, she can feel his emotions as clearly as her own, satisfaction, protectiveness, and love so profound it takes her breath away. "You needed time to choose this life rather than have it imposed on you," Alexis says, with understanding that speaks to how well he knows her. "The claiming means more because you came to it willingly. Even though you dragged me back every time I tried to run, especially because of that." Alexis's smile holds dark satisfaction. "I couldn't let you disappear, Lyra, not when I knew what we could build together. You were very sure of yourself for someone whose intended mate kept escaping. I was sure of us," he corrects. "Even when you weren't ready to see it yet." 3 days later, Lyra addresses the pack in the Great Hall, her appearance marking her full acceptance of her role as their Luna. She wears the ceremonial robes that belonged to Alexis's ancestors, her gold-flecked eyes blazing with authority, earned through months of leadership. Some of you questioned whether a reluctant human could truly serve as your Luna, she begins, her voice carrying clearly through the assembled crowd. I questioned it myself, but over these past months, I've learned that belonging isn't about how you arrive somewhere, it's about what you do once you're there. The pack listens with complete attention as she continues. I came here against my will, but I've chosen to stay and fight for our territory. I've chosen to heal our wounded, strengthen our alliances, and stand beside your Alpha as his equal partner. Those were my choices, and I make them again every day. Luna! 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 The chant begins with the younger pack members and spreads throughout the hall until every voice joins in acknowledgement of her authority. Later, as they review reports from the pilot medical exchange program, Alexis watches Lyra work with unconcealed pride. The pack adores you, he observes. They respect what I've accomplished, Lyra corrects. The adoration is something I'm still earning. And from me? What am I earning? Lyra looks up from her reports, studying the man who kidnapped her and somehow became the love of her life. You've already earned everything that matters, she says honestly. My trust, my partnership, my love. The question is what you plan to do with it. Build an empire with you, Alexis replies immediately. Expand our territory, strengthen our alliances, create a legacy that honors both our strengths. Our children will inherit quite a kingdom, Lyra observes. The casual mention of future offspring making Alexis's eyes flare with possessive heat. Our children will inherit parents who chose each other despite impossible circumstances, he corrects, moving around the desk to pull her into his arms. That's a better legacy than any kingdom. As evening falls over Shadowmere Island, Lyra and Alexis stand together on the balcony where she once plotted escape routes. Now the view represents not a prison, but a partnership that's transformed two strong individuals into something even more powerful together. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found me at that clinic in Montana? Lyra asks. I would have kept looking, Alexis replies without hesitation. For as long as it took, across whatever distance is necessary. You belong with me, Lyra. You always have. And now you know it too, he says with satisfaction, sealing his certainty with a kiss that tastes like moonlight and promises kept. She tried to escape, but the billionaire Alpha King dragged her back, not just to his territory, but to herself, to a destiny she never knew she wanted, to a love story that began with captivity and became the foundation of an empire they'll rule together. Some cages, Lyra has learned, are built from love rather than bars. And sometimes being captured is exactly what you need to finally be free. Don't forget to subscribe to Alpha Desire for more intense supernatural romance that proves love conquers all. What did you think of Lyra's transformation from captive to queen? Comment below with your favorite moment from their enemies to lovers' journey.